Hey, and welcome to my channel. My name is Chrissy Hodges. Thank you so much for being here. I know sometimes it's really difficult to go out and watch videos because you're worried you might get triggered, or you're worried you might hear something that's going to make you feel like you don't have OCD, which is super common. But I'm glad you're here. It means you have hope. It means that you want to find out more and that you want to work toward recovery. And that is what I want for you too. My name is Chrissy Hodges. I am the author of Pure OCD, The Invisible Side of Obsessive Compulsive Disorder, certified peer support specialist working worldwide to provide support for individuals working toward recovery for OCD. And I can also provide referrals to therapists that are specialized in treating OCD anywhere in the world. Go to chrissyhodges.com to find out more and to contact me to schedule. NOCD is an app. They also provide telehealth for ERP, many different places in the world. And inside their app, you can connect to other users that are living with OCD. Check them out at treatmyocd.com. You're probably here because you saw the title, Has OCD Ruined My Relationship? Has OCD ruined things in life? And what do I do about it? And is it repairable? And how do I stop this? Now, I don't have all the answers to these things. I wish that I did. But one of the things I want to accomplish in this video is to help you know that this is a big thing with OCD that is not often talked about because there's a lot of shame and guilt around this. And I also want to really give you some love. This video is about love and support because I know what it feels like to be in the position to have shame and guilt about OCD ruining relationships, OCD being part of relationships that have failed, and the fear that I still live with that because I have OCD and because of my symptoms, I'm not going to be good enough in relationships, and people are not going to be able to tolerate me because of this condition. So I'm here to help support and meet you where you're at so you know that you're not alone. Two things I want to talk about today: symptoms of OCD and how those impact relationships and ruining relationships or perceived ruining relationships. So that is basically when your symptoms are getting in the way, or content, or just having OCD in general, and maybe people can't handle that, right? So we're going to talk about those two things today. Let's talk about symptoms. Okay, I'm gonna get real here. And I'm only going to get real in the way that I am because I can't speak for everybody. I'm not like everybody. Man, I have tons of fears around people not being able to be with me, love me, tolerate me. This is all kinds of relationships, okay? Friendships, family, romantic relationships. I have all kinds of fears of not being good enough. And a lot of that goes back to symptoms, rumination, mental reviewing, confession sometimes, being like, hyper analytical about everything, getting in my head, trauma responses, things that have happened in my past, relationships that have failed before because of who I am with OCD. Family, just not being good enough, not being, wishing that I didn't have OCD, things like that. And those things follow me into relationships. Those are like pretty big scars on me to think I need to be perfect in a relationship so people won't get to a point where they can't tolerate who I am with OCD, which then sometimes leads me down this real big anger, frustrated, like this isn't my fault, stigmatization of like, why the fuck do I have this disorder? And it's always going to render me not good enough. So I'm sharing this with you because if that's how you feel, I want you to know that you're not alone, okay? So I'm going to dig into it a little bit. Man, I can be annoying. I'm a ruminator at heart, right? I've learned through the years how to cope with rumination. I've learned how to reduce it, how not to pull people in and have them be part of rumination, because that's pulling people in and being part of compulsions, which is not helping the cause. But I also know sometimes it gets tough and I get in my head about things and I pull people in and I worry that's going to ruin relationships. It's going to have people think, God, Chrissy's intense. It's too much. I don't want to be part of this. You know, I know when I do it, by the way, when I'm asking for reassurance, which is a result of rumination, you know, or contemplating reassurance or just not being Chrissy because I need that reassurance piece. When I get stuck in that anxiety, I have to work through it myself, and it's hard sometimes not to pull people in when they're involved, right? Or when they're part of the rumination. And so then when that happens, man, I know it. I know what I've done. I know what I'm doing, and then I go into that spiral of people just can't take it. They can't take who I am, and this is the lie that OCD tells us, right? It feeds right into that stigma, feeds right into that, well, you're mentally ill, people can't take you, people can't tolerate this. Then it goes to your damaged goods. Why would anybody want to be with someone like you when they could just be with somebody normal? All that shit, right? Mental reviewing, thinking back on things. What does this mean? What is this? You know, I get stuck in that loop too. It doesn't matter. Friendships, family, romantic, it doesn't matter. That stuff gets in there because that's part of the symptoms of OCD. And in working through that and doing proper ERP for that, the fears come in of, man, I ruin things because of my OCD. And that is the easy scapegoat. And I bet it's easy for you too, because there is such a stigma around being an identified patient, the person with the mental illness, that if they didn't have the illness, everything would be cool, everything would be chill. You'd be so much more likable if you didn't ruminate. You'd be, you know, people would enjoy being around you if you just weren't so like analytical and stuck in your head mentally reviewing shit, right? Okay, maybe so. Maybe so. But this is who we are. And this is what I wanted to emphasize, and then we'll move on to something else. Man, we didn't ask for this illness. And we have done the best that we can. But doing the best we can doesn't mean that symptoms aren't going to show up. It also doesn't mean doing the best that we can, even if it is perfect, doesn't mean that we're still not going to ruminate. That this shit isn't still going to come up, and then we are put in that position to face it again. And sometimes we make mistakes. And sometimes we pull other people in. It wasn't until into my 30s that I realized there are people out there that are willing and capable of loving who I am, despite the fact that my OCD sometimes gets involved, that my OCD sometimes needs them to help me. Right? I went from like not talking to anybody about this shit because I was scared and I was too much of a burden and I was too much of damaged goods, to being vulnerable and finding people that are willing to love me anyway. And here's what I want you to hear. There are people willing to love you anyway. Do you know how I know that? Because you're willing to love people despite their flaws. And I don't even want to label OCD as a fucking flaw, because it's not a flaw that we asked for. It is something that happened to us. You and I are willing to love people. And usually because of what we've been through, we tend to have a deeper understanding of people's flaws, a deeper understanding of a different worldview. And we see that shit happens to people and we want to show up for them. People make mistakes. People pull you into their shit. And you know what? We deal with it and we still show up. So why wouldn't someone do that for you? I'm telling you this because I know how easy it is to go down the rabbit hole of I've ruined things because of my OCD. Let me tell you something. You are still okay and lovable because of your OCD. And here's the bottom line. Some people might not be able to handle it. That's painful to face. Radical acceptance. Go watch my video on radical acceptance. But you deserve someone that does. You deserve family that does. You deserve a romantic partner that does. You deserve kids that do. You deserve a job that does. Don't ever forget it. Lastly, I want to pull up the content, right? A lot of times people think I've ruined relationships, I've ruined things now because of the content. Okay, let's just use POCD as an example because this across the board is what I hear the most. POCD and incest OCD. Let's go there. Relationship OCD too. Like there's so many. Let's go POCD first. I have ruined my relationship with my kids because I have POCD, or my nieces or my nephews. How could I ever go back? And people sometimes think that even if their kids will never know, but in their mind, I've ruined things. I've ruined the ideal relationship because I've had these thoughts. Incest OCD. I've ruined my relationship with my family because I've had intrusive thoughts about them. And now they know, and we can never have that relationship again. Harm OCD. Now my family knows I have harm, intrusive thoughts, and they'll never trust me again. I've ruined things with them. I've ruined this pure relationship OCD. I've ruined things with my partner because I've confessed. Confession is such a tricky compulsion. I confess, or they know that I have relationship OCD, so it can never be the same. We can never bond the same. Look, all 4 of these examples, and there's so many more, but all 4 of these examples, again, this is just content. We're underestimating how human beings can accept and love us despite shit that's not our fault. I know you feel like you've ruined things. I know that you feel like if I only didn't have this content, then I could have a better relationship with these people that I love. I can't tell you that that feeling isn't real for you. I can't. I know it's real. I have been there recently. Okay? But what I can tell you is this. I see you. I see you. And I'm right there with you. And you have not ruined anything. And if it's ruined, there's 2 people involved or multiple people involved. And it doesn't just have to be the burden on your back. Remember when I tell you, you did not ask for this. You didn't ask for your theme. Okay? Remember when I tell you, out of everyone, we're getting pummeled with this disorder, the content we didn't ask for. We deserve love and compassion, and we deserve people in our life that show up and see us for who we are, know that we can keep working to get better and better and better, because that's what we do. That's what we're going to do for them. But let me tell you something even better. That's what we're going to do for us. Because at the end of the day, it's about us and our willingness to do whatever it takes to get better for us so we can be better for the people that we love. That's what I wanted to share with you. Relationships have been ruined in my life because of OCD. It is true. So I'm not telling you that it doesn't happen and it doesn't fucking hurt. But in reflection, I look back and go, you know what? Those relationships probably weren't going to work anyway. And it isn't just because Chrissy had OCD. Chrissy had all these things, okay? Relationships are two-way, no matter who it's with. And what we want to do is to make sure that we're choosing relationships for people that can love us for who we are and vice versa. I hope that message resonates with you. I needed to hear it too. And I just want you to know, again, I'm here for you and I see you. I'll see you next week.